It is welcome that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has come out clearly against vigilantism in the name of the cow. People cannot take the law into their own hands, whatever the provocation. But even as the Prime Minister was admonishing cow vigilantes and declaring that the law will take its own course, a man was beaten to death in Jharkhand by a bunch of people who said he was transporting beef. Law and order is, indeed, a state subject. The Prime Minister must tell all chief ministers to ask their police forces to be extra vigilant against mob attacks on religious grounds. These people are provoking communal enmity and division, which could lead on to schism in society that has the potential to produce persistent and intermittent violence and social disruption. Modernizing, fast-growing India cannot afford to murder its democracy and kill growth in the process. The opposition has dismissed the Prime Minister's denunciation of violence in the name of the cow as less than sincere. The fact is that he had criticized cow vigilantes in the past, without that having the desired effect of energizing state administrations to stem the rot and the political formations allied to his Bharatiya Janata Party calling on its followers to stop this heinous, undemocratic practice of targeting minorities and Dalits in the name of the cow. The fact remains that those who had been arrested for the murderous attack on Muhammad Akhlaq in Dadri near Noida in 2015 on suspicion of storing beef in the refrigerator were treated as heroes, and one who died in jail was hailed as a martyr and draped with the tricolour. The man who thus valorized vigilantism in the name of the cow remains a member of the Union Council of Ministers. The recently issued rule banning sale of cows for slaughter also emboldens a violent fringe to think that the state is behind them. The Prime Minister is clear that development is the national priority and sectarian violence is bad in itself, and for pursuing the goal of development, the rest of the political establishment should fall in line and make sure vigilante killings do not recur. blogs.economictimes.indiatimes.cust, true product of political cooperation. Yesterday, 11:28 p.m. It is a pity that the Congress and some other opposition parties chose to boycott the special parliament session to launch the Goods and Services Tax (GST). True, the ruling party will do some self-promotion while kicking off the tax, but that is only to be expected. This is the biggest tax reform in independent India's history, involving consultation and collaboration between the centre and the states. It was part of the reforms agenda set out in the very first budget presented by Dr. Manmohan Singh as P.V. Narasimha Rao's finance minister in 1991, and was simply called a value-added tax. It has taken 16 years since then, during which 5 prime ministers and 6 union finance ministers toiled to build the structure of the tax, for it to materialize. Naturally, the ruling party will celebrate this as a historic occasion, and some of the occasion's glory will rub off on it. The opposition can well point out that the BJP's obdurate objections had stood in the way of the tax being realized earlier, and that the United Progressive Alliance government's entrusting of the task of creating the technical infrastructure to technocrat Nandan Nilekani, with the support of P. Chidambaram as finance minister, had created the GST network that will make filing and paying taxes relatively a painless affair. The BJP, in turn, can take credit for the masterstroke by Yashwant Sinha as finance minister of appointing an empowered committee of state finance ministers headed by a communist to bring the states on board, and for Jaswant Singh's role in appointing the Kelkar committees on tax reforms that did the initial technical spade work. The fact is that GST is the fruit of political collaboration across the board. It would have been proper for all political parties to together kick off the tax. Comments. Visit website.